Well, I only say inappropriate things to beautiful women, not old fat mingers like they are on this bloody show. Because they're all overweight.
You can't
over
say
the
that.
hill.
You
Yeah,
can't.
I
You
did.
can't do that, especially today.
I said that to the floor manager. I said, why would I say something inappropriate to an old? Honestly, they're quite unattractive.
When I was younger, we didn't know what refugees were. It was a different time, and at the time it was more about save the rainforest, wasn't it? And nobody was a bigger advocate for that than Michael Jackson. And as we all know, he fucked more kids than leukemia. So it's time to become a little bit sinister, I think.
Hello, and welcome to tonight's episode of Deadliners. It's lovely to have you with us. We are the new program of current affairs run by comedians and interlopers like me and James, the producer, and Ralph, our chief guest, and Lee Harris, who's on. None of us are comedians, but we support comedians tremendously. But all of that isn't very interesting. What's interesting is that we created this show to bring the truth about the real stories that abound today. Comedy and comedians are the best source of truth that I know. They can get the truth across to the public because they wrap it up in humor. So the truth of how we're being screwed, the truth of how we're being gaslighted or gaslit, whatever, the truth about what's really behind the stories and the big personalities and the big mouths and all the rest that we're fed every day by the mass media is not really disclosed anywhere. In fact, it's hidden, it's covered up. So the purpose of Deadliners is to let you know what the real story is, what's really behind some of the crazy things going on in this world, which today, at least to me, feels very often inside out, upside down, and backwards all at the same time. So, as they say, without further ado, let me introduce our guests. On my left is Ralph Bermudez, who's an international traveler and bon vivant and just quite an extraordinary man who speaks Portuguese and Spanish and English, and he knows everything about everything, and he's come here to support us. On my right, missing all of his hair, is James Bembridge, who I'm actually mentoring to become a producer, and he's doing very well. He's the producer of this show, and he is also the deputy editor of Country Squire magazine, which you've undoubtedly heard about, a very talented young man. On the screen with us, we've got Andy Zapp. He is it might be hard to tell, but he's the oldest of the four people on the screen besides us. And Andy is an old style Cockney London comedian, stand-up comic from way back, a very funny man. Then we have Jay Mack. Jay, raise your hand, please. Jay is a Romany gypsy wandering, traveling because he's always been chased out of town, stand-up comedian of great renown from Leeds. Below him is Nick De Santo. Nick, give us a wave. Nick is a pretty famous Italian, Iranian stand-up comic, who's very sarcastic and one of the funniest comedians that I know. And then Lee Harris, give us a ring. Also not a comedian, but
we don't want to see his ring.
not
Off to a fantastic
comedian,
start.
not a comedian, Lee, but quite a funny guy, but a very influential social media influencer, political commentator, and general busybody and pain in the ass. So we're very glad to have you all with us today. And we are going to literally rip apart some of the bullshit that's flying around at the current time. Absolutely. And we're going to start with Andy Zapp, who's got a story which he has told James about that he's going to tell. So James, what is Andy going to talk about?
This is quite incredible, Roger. Andy Zapp is currently in Edinburgh Fringe Comedy Festival.
Oh, I'm sorry. May I interrupt you?
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to remind me, and you forgot and I forgot, that I am meant to say, we're in this other room today, not our usual theater, and we've got people on Zoom and not our usual audience in the room, because it is, of course, ta-da, Edinburgh Fringe. It's the Edinburgh Comedy Festival, which runs every year during the month of August. And so most of our comedians are up there in Edinburgh drinking themselves silly and hoping that somebody shows up in their room for their gig. Over to you, James.
Yes, so this is an incredible story by Andy. There were these, what's a nice way to say it, rotund, to talk about fat women. These very fat women.
Fat birds.
Fat birds.
Fat
Yeah,
bitches.
fat birds. They were doing this cabaret show, showing, far too much of themselves, really. And they said about Andy that they didn't want to share a stage with him because he had said something vaguely inappropriate.
This is in Edinburgh just now.
Yes, it is, yeah.
So he's been canceled in Edinburgh just now.
Yeah, yeah. So they claimed that he said something inappropriate. He hadn't. They were lying. And Andy went up to them. I believe I'm right in saying this, Andy. Andy went up to them and said,
The floor manager.
Oh, so the manager.
You went up to the floor manager, yeah. Let him tell. What did you say?
Well, what happened? They cancelled me, and I'm saying, well, why have you cancelled? Well, you said something inappropriate to one of the women, or did something appropriate. It's not clear. It's still unclear. So I thought to myself, well, I only say inappropriate things to beautiful women, not old fat mingers like they are on this bloody show. They're all overweight.
You can't say that. You can't do that, especially today.
I said that to the floor manager. I said, why would I say something inappropriate to an old? Honestly, they're quite unattractive. They got all this sparkly gear on, and they run onto the stage, so wave their sparkles and legs about, and then they're off again. It's a bit shoddy. It was a bit shoddy, the whole thing. And so I, I said to the floor manager, no sweat, really. It's just, it wasn't a problem for me. Like, I found it a bit, I did find the whole thing a bit toxic anyway. Like, it was like the West End in the 60s, where young boys would go to see these strippers in strip clubs, and not really a lot happened. And I think this show's a little bit like that, where they get people to come in, pay top dollar to get into this bloody show. You've got a magician, you've got about 4 fat birds. You had me doing 5 minutes of, stand-up knob jokes. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for coming, and good night. So I was quite pleased to be out of it, really. But it was just ridiculous. It did make me laugh. Who cares?
What's it like in Edinburgh this year?
Pardon?
What's it like in Edinburgh this year?
It's a bit slow. People are complaining about that you haven't got all the crowds there, and the accommodation's expensive. I think it's difficult for young comedians coming up here putting on shows. People are just talking about breaking even. They're lucky if they break even when they're up here. Numbers are down, mind you. I've been doing a couple of. I've been regularly on 3 shows. There's one show comedy through the ages where I'm the oldest comedian on the bill, and then he'll have a young kid of 21 and maybe a couple of middle-aged guys on it. That's been a really good show. That's been really well attended. He's got a room for about 35 people, and he's been getting 35 people in there. So they're all paying between sort of £6 and £10. So if he can do that on a daily basis, that show will be making money. There's another show by a guy called Pete Baisley, and it's called Dodgy Accents. And we do our sets in a dodgy accent. So that's been good. But what caught me today, though, on the news was that thing about the Thames Valley Police actually encouraging the general public to start, like pulling shoplifters in shops now. We're getting the old vigilante culture going now, like grannies against shoplifters, that I will be tackling shoplifters now when I see them in Tesco's nicking a packet of crisps and some tomatoes. I'll be in there steaming in, tackling them to the floor. I'll be going shopping tooled up now. I'll have a nice little have a cosh on me, bit of pepper spray. I'll be in there. That's right. I'm really up for it. That's such a good idea by the police. Get the public involved and all, like, so we can sort of ramp up from shoplifting. We can go to actual bodily harm, attempted murder. That'd give them something to do, wouldn't it? Really, they'd be really busy. I can't wait for this to, just roll out across the country. Shoplifting's just not enough of an incentive for the police to do any fucking work, really. Nanas, old grannies at 93 down, protested against death and mayhem and all that. I know, whatever your political leanings are, they're the ones we like hard targets, old grannies of 93. We can arrest them. Instead of them all fuckers all being down in Trafalgar Square, thousands of coppers, they should be out nicking shoplifters, maybe, because if I get involved, there will be blood. That's all I can say. There will be fucking blood in Clapham. Rivers of blood in Clapham Common. I'm not going to fuck about. Look dangerous. Like, I'll take me like you fucking want something. You do fucking.
Very good. That's enough F-bombs. Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, can you cut them out? It's fine. But speaking of blood, Nicholas still, Roger, has not accepted my dinner party invites.
Right.
From last week, he's talking. He's scared that I was talking about the cannibals and stuff.
Right. Well, we'll come back to that later.
Nicholas Tatar.
Because Nicholas Tatar, yeah. Because we've got to move on with the running order, which is J. Mack, the gypsy, who's going to tell us about school children in Birmingham, Brummie children being told to write Valentine's Day cards to migrants?
Yes, it's far more than Birmingham, I'm afraid. It's across the country. It's run by a charity initiative called City of Sanctuary, and they are in...
Sorry, City of what?
City of Sanctuary.
They're calling Birmingham the City of Sanctuary.
Yeah, City of Sanctuary.
Yes. But they use different names in different establishments. A lot of it's Country of Sanctuary, City of Sanctuary, School of Sanctuary. So it's something that they are widespread across the country with. They're in 1,200 schools and nurseries. And on their official correspondence, they are supposedly fostering welcoming and inclusive communities for refugees, asylum seekers, fleeing violence and persecution. But really, they're just really coercing children to send love letters to older men, really, aren't they? If you look at what the cards that they've been sending, there's a very, very adult level of political interest. Some quotations come with "Stop the Rwanda scheme," and I love refugee rights. I think some of these cards. It's I've also managed to get hold of some more cards. I'll come to those in a minute. But what it makes me think of is when I was younger. When I was younger, we didn't know what refugees were. It was a different time, and at the time it was more about save the rainforest, wasn't it? And nobody was a bigger advocate for that than Michael Jackson. And as we all know, he fucked more kids than leukemia. So it's starting to become a little bit sinister, I think. Look, some of these cards that have been sent. This one's from Rosie, age 6. Roses are red, violets are green. Come to my country, but please don't rape me. Then we've got.
There was also, though, Jay, this journalist called David Aronovich.
Yeah.
Who was previously with the Times newspaper.
Yeah.
So he came out about this Valentine's Day, Valentine's card initiative for the children to send them to migrants, illegal ones even. And he said, the right wing, they've been so reactionary about it. And, well, if they think that there's anything sexual about this, then that just makes them unsavory people. It's just them sending nice little notes to migrants. Well, sorry, David Aronovich, what do you think Valentine's Day cards are for? Of course they're for romance and sexuality. And okay, I know, Jay, I know that the migrants don't need any further incentives or encouragement to rape the children. They're going to rape them anyway. But it's just like the Valentine's Day cards.
Yeah, you think those cards are bad? You should see the ones that are being sent back from the migrants to the children.
Yeah. The whole thing is mystifying.
It is. Get this. Right, this is from Mohammed, 37, to Charlotte, 5. Roses are red, violets are haram, but it's fine to fuck kids, so get in the van.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It is.
I mean, Philip Larkin, eat your heart.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Philip Larkin says you got to stop here. Lee, you got a burning story. What is it?
Yeah, this one's kind of follows the theme that we've all been witnessing over the last, probably 2 years of our free speech being eroded even more as the days pass. And this story involves a shopkeeper in Wrexham who actually looks like a wizard. Marvelous beard on him, big long beard. I wish I could show you the picture. But he owns a small kind of retro shop, and he's had a spate of shoplifters. And he's had about 200 quid's worth of stock nicked over the last few years. And as you would expect, you call the police, no one turns up, no one does anything about it. So he decided to take matters into his own hands. And what he did is he did what a lot of people are doing. They'll put certain goods behind glass in a cabinet, so you can't access it until you ask him. Yeah. So he hand wrote a sign that just said, let me get this straight. It said something like, due to scumbags shoplifting, please ask for assistance to open the cabinets. Thank you. Now, he actually got quite a lot of local support from this, but one supposedly random member of the public reported his sign to the police and described it as offensive. So he had a visit from the police. Of course he did. And the police went in there and advised him that someone will find his sign, or calling a shoplifter a scumbag can be deemed as being provocative and offensive. I think the exact words the police officer used. Of course, this is absolute madness, and I'd like to say I'm surprised, but I'm not really surprised, to be honest. But it does get slightly better. It does get slightly better.
People would say it's when we used to say this was right wing madness gone with. We used to be lampooned for saying that we said everything was mad, but this really is mad.
Yeah, Yeah, it is truly insane. It's Orwellian. You know, it's a thought crime, or who takes offence apart from the actual scumbag shoplifters? It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's why. How do you call it provocative? You provoke somebody who's stealing your property.
Provocative because it's racist.
There was a sign in a pub in East London, and it said, "No crackheads, no junkies, unless selling steak."
Well, it does get better. There is a slight update because the BBC decided to latch onto this story, probably because they have some quota about covering free speech, you know.
Yeah.
And they interviewed the shopkeeper, and the shopkeeper said that he refused to take his handwritten signs down. Well, he did. He took his handwritten signs down, but he then printed them out and made them much bigger, and just said, "I will not be taking them down." So good for him. You know, he made a stand.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Okay, Nicholas, the star, it's your turn.
Let's hear some stories. I start with the US, US UK. It's a bit of a transatlantic story. Actress Emma Thompson says President Trump asked her out on the very same day her divorce was finalized in 1998.
No.
But she
Really?
turned him down. That's what Emma Thompson says. Actually, President Trump has confirmed. President Trump has acknowledged that he was rejected by the British actress Emma Thompson. In his memoirs, President Trump points out to this episode, calling it the first bullet I dodged. Now,
That's actually quite good.
let's stay with the world of celebrities. It's very hot in here. Sometimes it's a good idea to go to the movies, if for nothing else, for the air conditioning. But there has been a bit of a Hollywood scandal as the movie The Fantastic Four hit the screens. There was a lot of talk over the two stars, Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby. They were doing this press tour, as you know, the premieres of the movie. And there was a lot of touchy-feely situations going on. You know, Vanessa Kirby is pregnant, expecting a child with her partner, and yet Pedro Pascal was seen in all these interviews and red carpets, touching her, holding her hands, touching her on the arm, on the upper arm, caressing her neck, her waist, her back.
Wow.
Yeah, this caused a bit of an uproar, but you know, because there's a simple explanation for this. Women are whores.
Picking that one for a sure.
You can't say that.
Keep
You
it.
can't say that.
Keep it in. Keep it in. Oh fuck.
Go on. Go on.
Shit.
I have Jay's support. Thank you, Jay.
Keep it in.
If she lets him, what am I supposed to tell you?
Nicholas, didn't he say that he was doing that for anxiety or something?
Yeah, but I mean, so could Harvey Weinstein say the same thing. Anxiety. I'm anxious all the time. Why can't I touch Vanessa Kirby? Because she wouldn't let me, but she lets Pedro. So now this story, Lee kind of mentioned this. The Wrexham police who went to this desperate shopkeeper and said, "You can't call shoplifters scumbags. It's offensive." And it's provocative, and you were wondering why. And I tell you why. Because sometimes people are desperate and they steal to feed their family. So they steal food. In fact, the police pointed out that in this shop, not a single book was stolen. Nobody stole books, and nobody stole sun cream.
So what you're saying is they weren't of the same complexion.
Yeah, I like how you got around that.
I do thematic sets, so the theme is a recurring theme, I'm afraid. But hey, if you want to hear another police story from the doom and gloom Britain, in Surrey, southern England, I'm saying it for the benefit of overseas viewers, in Surrey, the police are now using entrapment to arrest people for the so-called pre-crime. You know, you've heard about thought crime, now hear about impure thought crimes. So Surrey police, female officers pose as joggers.
Oh yes, yeah.
In tight clothing, and they go jogging, so to speak, but they're not jogging, they are being followed by male officers who would then proceed to arrest any man who catcalls them or wolf whistles them or makes lewd remarks or honks the horn, you name it. They've made tens of arrests, okay? And this has caused a lot of controversy about, the police and the police resources and the focus, where the police focus should be. And the police say these behaviors, they are not actually crime technically, but they could lead to crime, hence the term pre-crime. So we need to deal with this, right?
I've seen the video, Nicholas. These women, I mean, what's the point in using them as undercover policewomen to try to find out men who would catcall women? I mean, no one's going to catcall them. Have you seen them, for goodness sake? And also, fair play to the police.
They were stripping at my club, I think. They were, they were actually stripping at my club, those police women as well. Mm. They had two jobs. No, they're quite unattractive, though. Are they attractive, these women?
A little bit.
Well, I mean, it's a subjective matter. I reckon they're more attractive than the one that got you in trouble, Andy. But the point is, they are relatively young. They can jog, so they are fit, and the clothing is tight. So, in fact, to extend the operation, Surrey Police is now adapting their uniform. So, new female recruits can either opt for trousers or yoga pants with marked camel toes. So, they can decide what to go for depending on the operation they've been assigned to. And then some critics said, why don't you run these operations in a heavily Islamic neighborhood? Is it because you're afraid that the outcome will question the narrative, the mainstream narrative about the coexistence and diversity and multicultural? And Surrey Police denies that. They say, no, we did want to run this operation in heavily Muslim neighborhoods, but then we realized our female officers are not young enough for the Pakistani men to catcall them.
Nice.
So
nice.
That's why they call the operation off.
Oh my goodness. Oh.
Well,
James, have you anything to add?
Only to add that I've tried my best. I've loitered around construction sites. Never ever do I get catcalled at all. It's ridiculous. I mean, a chance would be a fine thing, Nicholas. I really am jealous. I mean, why has it become a thing where women are offended from being catcalled? You know, at the one hand, you've got these middle-class, moralizing, guardianista type journalists who say, "Oh my God, I'm so afraid of walking out on the streets and being catcalled." Then you've got these older bins who say, "Why is no one catcalling me?" Mm. It's just
no.
Can I say the optics of this is awful as well, because at the moment we seem to have a bit of a spike in sexual assaults at migrant hotels, and women and children are genuinely at risk. So the timing of this is awful.
Absolutely. If I can step in here, I mean, people like my friend Alex Phillips go on about this at great length, and they're absolutely right. You know, she's saying, you know, I'm afraid to walk around in London. I mean, without, frankly, what she calls immigrant men following me and saying horrible things and making noises, and I don't like it. So there's so many different people talking about this that, James, I don't think you can make fun of it.
No, what Alex Phillips says that's different to like the kind of normal like male builder blokes catcalling.
It's different,
Yeah. So, but
Yeah, and to be
that's
fair,
what the police are
Alex
going after,
Phillips
though.
is
Not the
fit.
kind of stuff that Alex.
well, they're
Phillips
probably
does.
going after that because they're afraid to go after
Exactly.
what Alex is talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Anyway,
but what is the job of the police in this day and age? It's kind of skewing over to kind of like shooting fish in a barrel, kind of easy targets. I don't know what the police are doing. I don't know what the role of the copper is on the street. You know, it's all about generating revenue. It just seems to be really
I
kind of-
still think that the role of the police is 99% of them, you know, risk their lives for us and do stuff that is unbelievable. But it seems that the people up top running them send these troops of wonderful people off in very, very strange directions. And it seems to be getting worse. But I still have tremendous respect for the police and the job they do. And the spirit that they have, but I really am getting concerned about how their bosses set priorities. Anyway, talking about this kind of demonstration and stuff, I can't help but notice these grannies, these nans being radicalized into pro-Hamas activism. I mean, more and more of these demonstrations, which verge onto support for Hamas, the figures are showing that the police are arresting your nan. I mean, these grannies are showing up in huge numbers, and nobody knows what's really causing that. It's a very strange thing. There are so many prejudices. Excuse me, I got to take a sip of this. I'm getting very
I
dry.
you wanted to go for a leak.
Yeah.
It's related to another story. You know, this Labor government that we have, they keep trying one thing after another to look good, to keep in power, to stay popular. Well, that's not the right phrase, to become popular. And they make one mistake after another, and they keep reversing themselves. Our amazing Jen, the Intel lady, the best Angela Rayner impersonator in the country, who is part of our beautiful Deadliners team, is off now because, as she puts it, Parliament is in recess. But when she talks about this subject and says, well, they've changed the winter fuel tax, they've changed their policy on the wind farm, blah, 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 they've changed this, they've changed that, they've changed that. She finishes by saying, well, we did say we'd be the party of change, didn't we? So, you know, that's good. But I think they will also be changing their policy on their newest mistake, which is eye tests for driving.
Oh, yes.
For everybody over 70 years old. Now, is this idiotic? Excuse me, why should people over 70 have eye tests? Oh, well, because 28% of reported accidents, 28 something, 20, my math is not good. 28% was caused by people over 70. That's significant. Oh, really? Well, doesn't that mean that, what is it, 72% of everything was caused by people who aren't over 70? I mean, isn't that the most idiotic thing you've ever heard?
Yeah, but Roger, the other week when I was in the car with you, you did try to run over a child.
Well, I failed. You know, I wanted to get some points, but
Because you couldn't see, because you needed an eye test.
Who said that?
I did. The gypsy.
So it's ridiculous, you know, 72% of people who cause these problems also, people over 70 don't generally drink or drive or take drugs or smoke weed or become aggressive or all the rest of it. Whereas younger people are more likely to do it. It's just the stupidest thing imaginable. And labor just can't see that one thing after another. They keep trying to adopt a new policy and then they reverse it because it's so dumb, because they are the most inexperienced and incapable government this nation has ever had.
Absolutely.
Now, James, yeah, sorry.
No, we've had a lot of incapable governments since I was born, since 1948. You know, people just get rewarded for failure all the time. I just don't get it anymore.
I'm sorry, you're talking about the time of Disraeli, aren't you?
Well, that's kind of you, because I do look good for my age. You know what I'm saying? Like that. Yeah, well, Labour's always flip-flopping. They are flip-flop and fly. But
you know what Disraeli said?
I wasn't there. I know you was.
He said, I find an agreeable person, someone who agrees with me.
The thing I didn't get, I just want to comment on this one very quickly, right? Because the thing I didn't get about this, I didn't know this, right? But the driving license actually will expire when you are 70, as I understand it. And then and then you have to kind of renew it every 3 years.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm aware, I mean, unless they're talking about adding in these eye tests, because I don't actually have a problem with the principle of when you get past a certain age, you have just a retest. It's not like a proper driving test. It's just to check that you're, because there are a lot of people, for example, like my gran, who was a fantastic driver right up until in her 80s. And it was my mum in the end. It was my mum that sat down with her. And to be honest, they both came to that decision at the same time, that it was probably time for her to give it a rest. But there are lots of people, I guess, at that age that might not have someone who can sort of say to them, actually, your driving now is bloody dangerous. Get out of the car. You should stop driving. And that might, so I don't have an issue with it. But what I don't get is why I thought that the eye test part was actually part of the retest, right? So surely they can just, that's already happening. That's, unless I'm wrong about this. I
know it's hard to believe, but I'm over 70 and I had my form only a couple of weeks ago. And the form says, you know, check these boxes. Are you this? Are you that? Or the other thing? Has anything changed since you blah, 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 blah? It's very simple. There's no eye test involved. And it says, check here if your sight is impaired, check here if, etc. You fill out the form, and a week later, I got my new license in the post. It's very simple. And that's really all they need.
It shouldn't even be age related in my view, because my wife, she can't see anything, and she quite regularly forgets to wear her glasses, and she's in her 40s. So I don't really understand why age is an issue on this one.
Blind as a bat. Well, because people's ability does deteriorate. You know, one fact that's little known in this country is that if you're blind in one eye, you can still drive.
No, you're shitting me.
You need one eye to drive.
I'm actually shocked by that.
Yeah, one eye. As a matter of fact, I had my eye examination, which I have, I don't know, every year or two or something, this very morning. And my eye doctor said to me, you have a cataract in this eye, but it's not very bad. I would just leave it alone. And he said, but in any event, you know, just even if you didn't do anything and you went blind in an eye, you can still drive. And he confirmed that in the United Kingdom, you can drive with one eye.
Huh.
Ooh, I get a patch. You know?
Oh, that's right.
I can't understand that.
You can drive with one eye, absolutely.
That does not make any sense. That I've got to admit, I can't imagine driving. Just try it. Like, you know, if you close one eye, it completely blocks.
Close one eye, and
it completely messes with your field of vision. I'd crash
It does impair you, doesn't it? You're not going to see.
So you wouldn't say aye then, would you, to that? Okay, well, look it up. Look it up. You'll see.
Yeah.
You'll see. Absolutely. And they don't test your hearing at all. What? No, they don't test your hearing, but you can drive with one eye. Okay, well, James,
Yes.
Why are so many journalists, it's so strange, client journalists, after the things we've been discussing, why are so many saying that Britain has never been safer? Is it because they've taken you off the streets or what?
Well, we don't know. I mean, Fraser Nelson. Do we all know Fraser
Spectator.
Nelson? Spectator. Well, ex-editor of Spectator. He has this almost pathological obsession with trying to say that Britain is an example of how multiculturalism can work. Things like he's been saying this for years. I remember in 2017, he was on Politics Live on the BBC, and he said that how can I say this without laughing? He said that the Muslim community in Britain is an example of how we've made multiculturalism work. So he put out this piece in the Times a few days ago saying Britain has never been better. Overall crime has fallen. Well, I don't believe that, but even if that were so, Fraser, even if that were so, overall crime fallen. Well, yeah, but 3 decades ago, we didn't have young underage girls, 4 of which have been raped by asylum seekers, illegal immigrants in the past 2 weeks. We never had that, did we, Fraser? So really, what is your motivation? What is David Aronovich's motivation? All these people, Matthew sodding Stadlen, why are they doing this?
I like Matthew Stadlen. I debated him on GB News once.
Like Matthew Stadlen.
Oh, I mean, he's totally diametrically opposed to everything I think, but we had a very good time. We had a good chat.
He sent me a horrible DM message. Anyway, what do we all think about this, though? Why are they doing this now?
I can tell you exactly why they're doing this. They're doing this because it's true, as in, so both sides are correct. If you look at it over different time frames, certain crime, and by the way, categories of crime, certain crimes have come down over a much longer period of time. The problem is what they're not understanding is that crime has gone up significantly for more serious crimes, especially in inner cities like London. So knife crime is up massively, sexual assaults are up massively, rapes are up. I could give you all the statistics, but they are all up, trust me. Now, the reason that I think that they are doing this is because they know that the reality of their worldview is crumbling, and they are desperately trying to prove themselves correct. Because this is so significant to me. If it turns out that the open borders brigade, that the people who think that we shouldn't divide anyone by borders and everyone's a human being and everyone is equal, all of these people, if they find out that what they've done is they've actually created a much harsher environment, which they have for women and girls in terms of sexual assaults, etc., knife crime. If they find out, if they face the reality of that, it completely crushes their entire ideology. It has a much wider meaning, this, than just these statistics. So people like Fraser Nelson, the reason that they are so desperate to try and disprove this, which I think they're doing very badly at doing, by the way, they are making a complete hash of this. And Matthew Stadlen, I saw him on GB News yesterday getting his arse handed to him by Martin Daubney on this very same issue. And that is why they are doing this. They're doing this because, and it's not the only subject that this is going to happen on, but this particular issue is a flashpoint, and it links directly into the migrant crisis as well. That's why this is such a big issue for them, because the asylum hotels, we know now, are crime hotspots, and they absolutely hate the fact that this is the reality of what they have been calling for the last decade, 2 decades.
Yeah.
And it's crumbling in front of their very eyes.
It's just one of the many decisions. Let's give 16-year-olds the vote. Let's do this, that they think, oh, this is going to be great. And then it turns out that it's the opposite, and they wish they hadn't done it, and then they try to change it.
But they've been doing this for years.
It's hopeless. It's worse than being governed by the Tories, who had no clue what they were doing, unless, of course, you believe the conspiracy theories that started to abound towards the end of their life, the last government, which deluged my mailbox more and more every day, that this is actually a globalist conspiracy to wreck the country and then build the new world order. I don't know.
Well, this has been happening for years, though. I was an outreach worker on at Heathrow Airport, working with homeless people, and then they would let immigrants in.
They had airplanes then?
That's funny. Not that funny, though. Let me continue. But when I was an outreach worker at Heathrow Airport about, 23 years ago, they would let immigrants into the country. If they didn't have the paperwork, they'd go to the prayer room. And after they left the prayer room, they were told, well, if you haven't got the paperwork, you have to go from Heathrow Airport to Croydon, to their some kind of centre there, pick up a piece of paper, get it all signed and all that, and then you can, come into the country, knowing full well that, once they've left the prayer room, they're going to go all over. They're going to go and see uncle this and uncle that, and just vanish into the, society. So they know what they're doing. They knew I don't think, they were unconsciously saying, oh, we don't know what's happening. They do. There is that kind of, it's not a conspiracy theory. It's more business as usual, because it does create that divide. I think we live in a culture now where, you just pick a side and monetize, just pick a side. You'll still make a few bob. Doesn't matter whether you're wrong or right. If you know how to play this game, you're going to make a few quid. Well, I'm a little bit of a cynic, really. But that's how I feel about it.
Just a teeny bit. We're going to end with surprise, surprise. I'm going to surprise Nick. Nick, would you give us a few minutes of your stand-up?
A few minutes of my stand-up?
Yeah.
Well, I can't stand up here, can I? But
sit down then.
Give us a few minutes of your best sit down.
Well, I mean, I did give you my sit down.
You gave us some very good, but we want more. We want more.
I can give you a few more.
No. What I mean is,
yeah.
I'm sorry to cut in. What I mean is, sorry to talk over you, but no, what I mean is, you gave us some, but it was related to the show, and you were talking about stories and current things. I mean, just some of your best stand-up that is unrelated to any current affairs stories or anything else. Just the best stuff. Show us what you got.
Tell us a joke.
Yeah. Okay. Tell you guys. I'll tell you an Italian joke, but not in Italian. If that's okay. Yeah, and this is a joke I've heard in Italy. It's not my joke, but those small towns where everybody knows everybody, not just in Italy but anywhere. So, and Italy can be sometimes politically very divided because of the legacy of the World War, and the country was divided in two, and those who switched sides to the Allies, and those who stayed faithful to the Axis. And the legacy is still felt very strong. Anyway, with that introduction, there's this small Italian town where everybody knows everybody, and the fascist party has a branch, and the communist party has also a branch. And of course, these are old parties and old guards, and the head of the local fascist branch is in his deathbed. So he knows his days are numbered, and from his deathbed he says, let's dial the communist branch. And he calls the communist branch and he says, hello, is that the head of the communist branch, Comrade Fulvio? I want to join your party. And the communist guy says, you want to join our party from your deathbed? Have you finally come to your senses? Have you realized that we are the only way? And he says, no, but I'm in my deathbed and I'm dying, so I'd rather one of you dies than one of us.
Very good.
So that was the joke.
That's very clever. Thank you.
Thanks. I can't take any credit for that, but I just wanted to say, I talked about current affairs, and one thing I forgot to mention. They say woke is dead, And of course, in the US, maybe it is dead. I talked about American Eagles ad last week. Today we were covering UK news. It looks like woke is very much alive. The insanity is very much alive. But in the US, there's a totally different climate, thankfully. And one thing that has made a comeback is, you have heard about this, gay conversion therapy. Gay conversion therapy.
Oh, Jay has tried this.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't want to talk about Jay, but this has made a comeback in the US, and I have registered myself as well. Next month, I'm going to Florida, and I'm going to try this gay conversion thing because I'm sick and tired of not being gay. I want to convert into being gay so I can finally stop putting up with women's crap.
Well, this is what I was saying, Nicholas. This is what Jay tried. He's tried the gay conversion therapy.
What is gay conversion therapy?
Well, usually
he's going to be surrounded by fag hags.
Yeah. Well, usually gay conversion therapy is to convert gays into being heterosexual.
Yeah.
But Jay has tried it in order to try to convert himself into being a homosexual.
Yeah, I'm sick of crazy bitches.
Because he's sick of same with Nicholas.
Yeah, no,
we can do it together. We can do it together.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, we can
nice.
share a room. We'll share a room.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I wish you both well, and any help you need, our producer James can give you.
Well, this is what we're going
We
to
can
say.
James can convert anyone.
Because he's screaming queer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But just before we go, what I was going to say, Nicholas, that dinner invite I sent you.
I don't recall anything.
I'll send another one then.
So we're going to crowd fund the guys, are we?
Yeah, I can see the conversion beginning already. Well, listen,
Oh my God.
to each his own, whatever turns you on, and I wish you all well. And
But who's going to be the top and who's going to be the bottom?
yeah, who's the husband and who's the wife?
We could all be like
It was a joke.
human
It
centipede.
it was something about women, not about gays, really.
Yeah.
I want to thank you all for participating tonight. You've all been great. And I want to thank our audience for viewing as usual. We'll see you again next week. Have a wonderful week. And if you have any stories for us, just let us know. It's deadliners58@gmail.com. And the same address, the same email address, if you'd like to come and join us on a Wednesday evening when we record in our NW8 Northwest 8 studio in London. Let us know. And thank you very much and have a wonderful week. Hey.
Hey.
Hey.